Welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of the Indie Show. And tonight we are talking The Wicked and the Divine, volumes 2 and 3. And as always, I got my guy, Unruly Simeon, with me, who is a big fan and is the one who told me to read this one. So, what's going on, Unruly?
I want to holla, but the joint's too small.
Well, you know, I don't even know how to respond to that. Hey, look, you're in the chat. We got somebody in the chat. That's good. So, we also have my guy, Los, with us tonight. What's going on, Los?
Yo, what's going on, fellas? Good to be here. Let's talk some comics.
Let's talk some comics. Yeah, I think we all three of us, I think, had fairly long days. So let's talk about something more enjoyable. So,
yes,
for sure. So, oh, wait. And just in time, we got the last meeting. Todd, what's going on?
What's up?
Oh,
right under the wire.
Up.
He's on mute.
Yep.
Sorry, I was on a phone call real quick. I was
looking. You're okay. So we were like, no. We gave you a couple extra minutes, so you're good to go.
I'm like, where's the link? Where's the link? And I'm like, oh wait, maybe you emailed it.
Yeah, I did email it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you said in Instagram, I'm gonna link and I'm gonna send in like 10 to 15 before.
Oh, I meant I had already sent it when I sent that message. It was in the email. I'm sorry. That's okay.
I'm easily
we're here now. We are going to get started, and it might just be the four of us because there's like 27 other shows going on right now. But that's okay.
Yeah, I don't care, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing my good buddies Lowe's and I'm JP, so
that's right. Really, this show is really for me to talk comics with my friends. That's really what this show's about.
This is really long. Honestly, like what I've come to the conclusion is I'm like knee deep in the auctions and it's like sand, it's like quicksand. You know, because I started ordering new books to sell, and now I'm like, damn, I literally came home with a short box of new books today. So I'm like in this I'm knee deep in the quicksand, right? And I'm like, I gotta stop ordering 100 copies of stuff. That is just
yeah, no, that's not a good thing. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, but it's like I don't do awful. Trust me, I don't do all. I'm not ordering like 100 of everything. I'm very like I make some good scores. I could like sit down and tell you about some scores I've made on new books, and you'd be like, damn, that's pretty good. But you know, it about balances out because I keep tracking. As long as I don't lose money, as long as like it doesn't cost me, like as long as the comics pay for what I'm buying, I'm okay. That's the whole thing, you know, because I'm just perpetuating my comic collection. And I can always flip like 10 $3 books into a $30 book and three $30 books into a $90 book and so on and so forth.
There you go.
You just may take some time to like have that all.
That's too much work for me. Like it can be done, but I don't want to do that much work.
Well, you know what it is? I've been collecting comics since I'm 8 years old. I know I'm collecting them yesterday. I know I'm collecting them today, and I know I'm collecting them tomorrow. So, like, I might as well just like jump into the deep end and like let it roll.
Nice.
Well, I want to thank Ruben Guzman for hanging out with us. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So,
completely off subject, rant.
Oh well, you know that happens. So, like I said, we are talking The Wicked and Divine. You guys were all part of reading Volume 1. I think, if I remember correctly, the only person that's read this prior to us reading this is Unruly, correct?
Yes.
Scott and Los, you guys have not read any of these before we're reading them for this show, correct?
Yes, I did not read it.
Even now, you haven't read it.
I still didn't read it. I'm just gonna guess my way through this.
There you go. Well, let's start with Volume 2, I guess. I guess let me just start with Los. I want to start with you, Los, because you hadn't read it before. What were your thoughts, general thoughts, like big picture thoughts about Volumes 2 and 3, now that you're a little deeper into the story?
So, I like where they were going with it. I like the whole mystery, and it was almost like a detective story. She's trying to figure out what the hell is going on with Lucifer and stuff like that in the first part because she feels like it was a setup, something happened. And going into the next volume, she's going deeper into the rabbit hole, and from there, it just gets a little crazy. But overall, big picture, I do like where they went with it, and going into volume 3 as well. It just leads you into another path. I do like the almost like it's a continuation, but it feels like there's a conclusion, right? It kind of leads you to a conclusion. And you're like, all right, but they left it open for something else, and then it kind of like bites off of that and then keeps on going into its new thing. I do like that. I do like the storytelling in it. I thought it was interesting, and so far, indie books have really caught my attention as far as the writing styles have been going. And this is just another example. Monstrous was another one, and this is another one as well. Yeah. So I dig it. I liked it, and I like the whole God aspect and stuff like that. I always loved that anyway. So to have it in comic book form, it was even better.
Thanks. What about you, Todd? What are your thoughts after reading volumes 2 and 3?
I'll tell you, at the beginning of volume 2, I was a little bit like, I felt like it was a slow starter for me a little bit, but I was reading it at night and I was a little tired, so I don't know. It was last night, as a matter of fact, just to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was tired, but it wasn't like super late. It was like 10 o'clock or 10:30 or something. I think it was 10:30, and I started reading, and I read, most of the second volume. And then I picked it back up. I was on my lunch. I had a nice long lunch period today. So I finished up the second volume and read the third volume. And the second volume started, I almost felt like it's a little slow, but maybe I'm also trying to, it's been a while since I read volume 1. I didn't really go back and reread it. Yeah. So I had to refresh and, because it's really one issue to the next is it's a month. It's not however long it's been since I've read it. So, but as I, because I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give it so many issues. But it got to a point where I was like, oh, wow, holy crap. They did that? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something coming, but I'm like, no, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, so, I'm not putting out the spoilers yet, but
yeah, we will be doing full spoilers at some point. But yeah.
But, I'm not gonna steal that in the opening comments. Can't give them a climax right in. Gotta build up too little.
There you go.
But yeah, that's pretty much. I guess that sums up my my feelings on 2 and 3 volumes 2 and 3.
Nice.
So Unruly, you have finished the whole thing. I'll go to you before I give my thoughts on 2 and 3. You finished the whole thing. As you were reading it and as you're rereading it, what are your thoughts about how volumes 2 and 3 kind of fit into this whole story?
All right, here's the deal, and I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, but I'm just going to say this. Nothing is as it seems with any of these characters.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating because, I just finished it right after we did volume 1 because I'd just gotten the last 2 trades in the mail. And, I didn't expect none of what was happening, but to go back and reread it, I reread 2 and 3 today. After I know what's going to happen, I'm like, holy shit. Kieran, how do you say her name? Kieran Gillen?
Yep. Kieran Gillen.
Well, it's a guy, I think.
It's a guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Just an incredible freaking writer.
Yeah.
The only other thing I've read by him is his run when Loki died and came back as a kid. And that was freaking outstanding.
So, I'm a huge fan of Kieran Gillen. His Darth Vader run is fantastic. He did a 25-issue Darth Vader run, which is just amazing. He's writing Die. If you haven't read that, he's got a couple other things that I've read that I can't think of right off the bat. Yeah, but everything I've read by Gillen, I've loved. So, but go ahead, I'm really sorry.
When Die comes out with hardcover, I will be buying it.
Yeah.
And he did a series with the same artist called Phonogram, the Singles Club. Or Phonogram is the name of it.
I've grabbed a couple of issues out of dollar bins when I've come across, but I don't have the whole series. I imagine I'll find it. I saw it before I even realized it was connected. It almost has a very 1980s kind of music pop vibe to it just reminded me almost of that era. So I just grabbed it because it was an interesting looking cover. And then I look closer and I'm like, oh, wait a second, I recognize these names.
Yeah.
This is my Wicked and Divine crew.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that the actual in the back of one of these, is it this one? Yeah, this is the book I found.
Yeah.
That
They're
blue.
in the back, yeah, they show them in the back.
That's the one that just had that 80s kind of pop music vibe to me that I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So my general thoughts on this is I kind of agree with like Todd in the fact that like I felt like Volume 2 was a little slow. Like it was taking longer than I expected to get to deal with what had happened in Volume 1. Like it was kind of, I felt like, okay, like ready for the pick up the pace. But when they picked up the pace, it was like, oh crap. And then and I was like, oh, like, we'll get to that. I was sort of pissed because they pull kind of the same stunt they do in Volume 1, which is the character they really kind of focus on, like they kind of take out right at the end of the volume. And then Volume 3, like sometimes I would be like, I think reading Volume 3, if you'd been reading the issues as they were coming out, would have been a little frustrating because of where Volume 2 ended, and you're waiting monthly and you're getting these backstories. But in this form, like reading these backstories and getting the back information, the way they put it, like in trade form, was excellent. I really enjoyed Volume 3 as a follow-up to where Volume 2 ended. Like I said, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I'd have been like picking this up as it was coming out. But like the fact that I could read it like this, we'll get into the art issues, I think, in Volume 3 a little bit, at least for me. But so let's just start digging into Volume 2 a little bit. So basically, we got our main character, who I'm about to blank on her name, Laura. Like in Volume 1, she's basically a fangirl / groupie of these gods that are like that come back every 92 years or something. It's not actually a round number. I forget. It's like 90 something years.
90 years, I think.
Yeah. And for those that hadn't read it, and basically the one that she'd like really befriended, Lucifer, gets taken out right at the end of Volume 1 because she was sort of misbehaving, but it wasn't really completely her fault. But like she gets taken out by this person that helps find the gods and helps guide them, that we have no idea how old she is. The
babysitter?
The babysitter, sort of, yeah. And so go ahead.
Her name's like Anaki or something. Anake.
I was calling her Anaki, but I don't know if that's
sounds as right as anything else.
Yeah, it's like Anki or something like that, yeah.
Anki, yeah, something like that. But so this picks up basically after Lucifer's death, and it's Laura trying to figure out, like, deal with the fact that, like, this happened, as she's sort of famous now because she was there, and but also trying to figure out what happened because she thinks Lucifer was innocent and this shouldn't have happened to her. So she kind of gets diving deeper into it. So we meet a lot of the other gods in this one because we'd only met a couple really in the first volume. Like, so what do you think of this? Like some of these other gods, what we meet, Inyana.
Hey, look! It's like when the elves start singing in the trilogy in the Lord of the Rings. Just skip it. Don't even attempt to pronounce it.
This is true.
I did the same thing.
You gotta like give them something so you can keep track of who you're talking about. But like all of
I
these
just
things
think
are like
old broad for the babysitter, Laura, jailbait protagonist.
Guy.
Yeah, that guy, Prince. Prince, the Prince monkey.
There you go.
Yeah, here, show him again. Put him back up there.
Exactly what I thought when I first. Well, get my hand out of the way. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Prince. So we get Prince in this one. We still get like, and then this reporter person who's like been helping her ends up supposedly becoming the 12th god, which is basically she's like the Norns or something.
Yeah, it's her and her two friends become the Norns.
Yeah, Nords. Yep.
Yeah, and so she becomes a god. So now Laura's kind of pissed because she's like, that was her last chance to become one.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's set up in here is, like, I instantly realized that, and I don't know, we'll get into spoilers here, like, really quick. But we have the conversation after the Norn, or just before the girl becomes the Norns, of Anarchy, or the old lady and the punk rock dude, Baphomet, like where she basically tells him that, like, because supposedly there's this rumor, if you kill one of the gods, you get their, like, basically you can become one of them, like you get their power,
and you also steal their years that they have left.
You steal, well, like
their time.
Like normal person, like if a normal person kills one of them, they get their powers. And she basically tells him that doesn't work, but if you're one of the other gods, you get their years. And they're all like supposedly only get 2 years. And so like she basically completely sets him up. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is the case, but and it appears to be only through these 2 volumes. I'm like, well, she's the big bad. Like, because she totally just sets him up, and he's like,
well, she says to him basically, I think she says, if there's a dead god, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, she's like, but she basically like,
who's going to really say that to you but the person who plans to kill a god?
Yeah.
That's like, those cookies look really yummy. If they disappear, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, like, I mean,
beard, and it's like, who's the guilty one? You know?
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely wheels within wheels happening. What I liked about Volume 2 is they show the flashback to the Pantheon conference, and so these people in this world, they know about this, and it has to be fairly recent, right? I get the feeling that those 1920s gods really showed their ass. And so they've just been waiting for this to come back around. But I'll tell you what I really like about the whole series, actually, is this ephemera. Like, they show her room and everything's labeled. Yeah. You know, and if you take the time to read that and look at it, it's pretty funny. It's pretty and then cool. Later at the convention, they have the whole thing mapped out, her whole little route.
Oh, I love her route around the convention. That's hysterical.
You know, I see that as very efficient storytelling.
Yeah.
Because they give you a lot of information in a single panel.
Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a look into the character, right? So like it kind of gives you like, oh look, this is a poster of a person I liked, and this is some artwork that I attempted to do or something like that.
Her little what it is, but it's not just that. It's her little comments on why I have that, or I couldn't put I had that poster there. I couldn't put something else in its place. That one stuck out to me.
Yeah, this is her and all her notes about what happens to her as she walks around the con.
Yeah, first autograph, last autograph, where I could have given an autograph.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what is it? Yeah, point where I realized that I could have come
out a little bit of meta commentary on actually being someone who's at a comic convention who
and being semi-famous.
Yeah, well, you're comic book famous if you're a writer or an artist at a comic book convention. Let's be honest. But you go to McDonald's, you're just like the next guy ordering a Big Mac.
Yeah. My favorite one is point where I realized I could have come in here and dodged several thousand people asking for my autograph. Yes, I did scream a little. It's just like, So
I would imagine the first half a dozen times or so you get recognized and ask for an autograph, it's pretty freaking cool. But it would get real old real quick.
Yeah. there's another panel while we're just talking about those kind of panels. There's another one like when she's going into the underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they like, you know, which is just like you said, it's just efficient storytelling of her going down like to this freaking concert, and it's just.
But it's a nice little maze too. So like it's like selective doors. Like you need to go this door, then this door, then this door, then
it's
this
very
door.
video gamey.
Yeah,
and it's
And
but
then-
it's also the way. I like the storytelling because it like takes her inner monologue and like juxtaposes it against the imagery, and it's not really directly connected, but it gives you a very good feeling for how she's like getting lost in this world of of gods and whatnot in the pantheon.
Yeah. I mean, I love her little inner monologue at one point. She's like, I'd run, but I have no idea where I'm at. She's like, I have no idea the way back at this point.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
that's really I do like that. I do like that little that little touch that they put in there.
Yeah, there's just a lot of little, like, if you're paying attention, there's lots of detail and fun moments in a lot of this stuff, and a lot of humor that they just kind of sit off to the side. And
I could tell you, this is totally a story I could just sit and probably read through the however, what is it, 7 or 8 volumes, 9 volumes, read through them very quickly. But I'm kind of trying to pace myself out for us to go through this. I'll probably read everything again when we're done, just to like absorb, because I feel like there is so much depth to it, and a lot of it will probably not be. I won't see it until I've read through it at least once.
Yeah, I think I read 2 issues into volume 4 already. I was like, I want to keep reading because it goes quick. It does go quick.
I think I have the next 3 volumes somewhere. I think I picked them up.
Yeah, so, I've ordered the next 2, but I haven't. Yeah, they haven't come yet. But
it's definitely not like reading Monstrous.
No, this is so much. Yeah, like you and I are on this and Monstrous is like this, like there's so much information, and it's just like crazy, like level of detail. And this is like there's a lot of information here, but it's a much easier read. Yeah. It's a very different style.
This is more. I mean, obviously there's people dying, gods blowing up, and all types of crazy. But it's more fun if you can if you can imagine that. But it is a fun read.
And they use McElven's art to tell, like we talked about, like the panels where we talked about, but even like his facial expressions, like you get like he's telling a story. Like, I mean, there's very few words on this page, and like he tells a lot about Dionysus and her and this whole world on that page without any word, with almost no words, and it's like of what's going on and like looking at their faces, and you get a lot of panels like that of using facial expressions to help tell the story beyond just words.
Yeah, I think that in that panel too, it was just like, I haven't slept in whatever crazy amount of time he's been up, and you could just see his bloodshot eyes, and it's like, okay, it's like, yep,
just partying like a maniac.
Just keep it going. It's like, holy shit.
It definitely rewards a careful reread, because if you notice, it's very structured. She's always I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep saying she. He's always telling you exactly what the date is. You've got a chronological, but he's not spelling everything out for you. He's putting all the clues right in front of you, and it's your job to be smart enough to know what's going on. I like that.
Yeah, to piece them together yourself. Yep. That was my feeling is the whole detective aspect of it, or that the investigative journalist like kind of deal where you're getting all this information but you have to piece it together and see where it fits. So they throw a lot of information at you, and it's like, but it's at different times, and they give you different perspectives of different people. So it's like, I was at that vantage point. And it's like, I saw it this way. And it's like, well, I saw it this way. And it's like, I saw it this way. It's like, oh shit. It's like, well, who saw it correctly? And like, which one is correct? And how do I piece this together? So I definitely like that.
And let's talk about the whole aspect of being, for all intents and purposes, a deity. You know, an avatar of, you know, some aspect of deity that spans cultures, and how, you know, and this little girl Laura, she's seeing it up close. She's seeing all the freaking hair and blood on the walls, but she still wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when Cassandra becomes one of them, she just instantly poof her two assistants, and you don't hear them bitching, even though they know that the lifespan is very, very finite.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I think except for Cassandra, they're all pretty damn young. You know, they're all in their late teens or early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think back to when you were that age, you didn't really have a grasp of time. You know what I'm saying? Or the future.
Yeah, you didn't have a full appreciate. When you're a teenager, you don't have a full appreciation of what, like, life is. Like, life is that moment, and you want to maximize what's going on in that moment. And this where these kids are all kind of get sucked into this, thinking, I just want to maximize what I got, and if it means I don't get time later, who cares? And like, without really thinking about it. And the only one that I think does really think about it is Cassandra, because you get the scene where later, after she does her first concert, and she's trying to basically tell them life sucks and, like, don't be happy or whatever, and the people hear her, and she's all, like, depressed that her message didn't get through. And like, and the two of them are talking, and it's like she's the only one that, like, you know, Laura's like, I'm really happy for you, and she's like, including the dying, and she's like, well, except for that part, but like,
well, she has more experience to actually realize that what you do today has an outcome tomorrow.
Yeah,
has an influence on tomorrow. So it's, and even Laura's like, she even says that she sees all the negative parts of it, but she still wants it.
She still wants
it.
So still, like, and it's I don't know if it's like, I think it's like she just wants to be in that group that she looked up to. She wants to feel like Lucy's not completely gone, and maybe Lucy lives on in a part of her, because she went back to that snapping thing a couple times.
Yeah, she kept trying to do the snapping thing, and
trying to do it.
Work.
And so, you know, when it finally went the way it went.
Well, and I do think it's interesting because after, since we're about to that point, like, so after she, like, comforts Cassandra, who's all depressed about that she's going to die, and she's walking home, and she's, like, talking to herself the whole way home about, you know, how she's going to, like, and she gets to the very end of the thing, and she's like, I still, here, let me make myself big, or, like, I still want it more than anything. I hate myself for that. And I feel so stupid. And then, like, basically the old lady is there, and she's like, if it's any comfort, I feel stupid too. And then we get the reveal that so here's my question. And this is a question ultimately that Unruly may have to talk himself out of, because he may not be able to comment on, because he probably knows at this point. How much are these people, like, these kids, actually, like, predisposed, and how much it is this lady just picks them at random, and, like, she could pick any kid, any group, and she just happens to, you know what I mean? Like, because she keeps saying it, she has to find them, and yet it almost, like, the way the story goes, that through this volume and this volume, it almost feels like she's like, this one's kind of a pain. Like, that she's choosing them for her reasons, like, that they're not actually predisposed.
I would piggyback that question and say, is it 12 at a time, or is it 12 overall? Because they say there's 12,
and then she's number 13.
Andrew's the 12th one, and then Persephone shows up.
Yeah.
Well, I think it changes. All right. I'd have to give major spoilers.
Well, don't give major spoilers. Yeah.
They're not. there's rules, but no one knows them all. It's kind of being made up as it goes along.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, though. She's not imbuing them with these powers. It's kind of like they're all drawn together, you know. Of course, when the first couple manifest and it causes a ruckus in English and then world society, the ones that are predisposed are drawn to it. Like, what's the name of the real little kid? The one that's 12 or 13, Minerva, right?
Minerva. Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that, and you know that she wasn't, I mean, picked out of by the old lady.
Yeah.
And they get the memories of their past cycles. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think any of them has complete knowledge by a long shot.
Yep.
Of every time they've lived again. They just have a general feeling.
Yeah. They get bits and pieces.
They get bits and pieces. So the big reveal, so that's part of it. So what we have, like, what's the big events in Volume 2 is Cassandra and then eventually Laura both become gods. Laura becomes Persephone right at the end here. The other big reveal is the old lady basically sets Baphomet up to try to kill the other gods. And he gets caught, and then they catch him and stop him from killing the Norns, who he didn't like Cassandra anyway. But then he fights Prince, Purple Rain, and he fights him and actually does kill him trying to get more years. And then, so that's the big thing at the end. And then the other big reveal is right after the old lady turns her into Persephone, she tells her to start singing. So here's your full spoilers for Volume 2.
Yep.
And then...
Bang!
Yeah. And I was like, I got to this page and I was like, damn it, Unruly, what are you making me read?
Yep. And then, well, that was the one thing too. The singing aspect when they would talk about it, it's like if you want to kill a god, that's when they're most vulnerable, when they're singing. So that's why she basically told her start singing, and she's like, all right.
So yeah, we basically see her. She like,
oh,
yeah, and then she kills her parents because they catch her, and like, so she's like, so here's the question:
Stone Cold Killer.
Yeah, she's a stone cold killer. So here's my question: is she not like? Because she's a super old lady that's been around like the whole time, and she's like around waiting for them. So is she like actually like helping them, or is she like trying to find them because she's using their life and their energy to stay living, like in the in between time?
If you she gives her answer to that in Volume 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember, she was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she claims she's one of them. Yeah.
And she said she gave up she forfeited her right to, come back or whatever it is, to stay, to kind of, again, babysit whenever, to like round up the new ones and kind of like guide them. So she's like, somebody has to stay here because they were basically coming back and just running amok. They didn't know what the hell was going on. They're just going crazy. And it's like, okay, we need to corral them. We need to get them together and say, hey, this is what's happening. Every 2 years, you're going to have 2 years. And after that, 90 years, you'll be resurrected.
So, but here's my question is, like, that's what she says her story is. And that's what the story she tells them. Is that but I don't think that's the full story, because it feels like maybe they have more than, maybe there's not a 2-year limit. Maybe she's keeping them at 2 years and stealing the rest of the time that they would have. Like I don't know. There's something there that's we're not getting the full answer. Go ahead, Unruly. Sorry.
An interesting theory, sir.
You might have touched.
All will be revealed.
Well, I'm sure it will. Like, there's 9 volumes. So.
But she's alluding to, like, there's some dark counterforce to their energy that has to be battled. Now, is that true, or is it complete bullshit?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Or is she part of that other force?
If she sees herself as the light to oppose the darkness, that must be some really darkness.
Yeah,
because
Exactly.
so
murderous.
we get the reveal in volume 2 when she kills Laura that she's like bad, but I registered that as soon as she told Baphomet, like she set him up, and I'm like, okay, she's actually like, at that point I was like, she was the one that set up Lucifer and like killed Lucifer. Like she's like, there's there's more to her. So volume 3 is all about backstories and setup and like of these different gods, and we get some of her backstory. We get to reveal that she really was the one that killed the judge that got Lucifer in trouble, like, and that she's working with Wooden, basically that he knows what she's doing, and he's the only one that knows that she's basically the one that's going to kill them all.
Yeah, she needs his technology to kind of do whatever her plan is.
Yeah. So we get like the first issue is we get the girl, we get the girl that was fired by Cassandra in the first volume that was like working with her in her investigation is another one that was kind of left behind, and we get kind of her investigation and basically the capture of the Morgan, because he helped Baphomet escape earlier, and then he went and killed Prince. So we get that story, which is a little bit of, setup. But then, like, the one I want to talk, like, the first one I really want to talk about in this is the Terra story. Because the whole volume 1, we don't see Terra. She's one of the gods we don't see. And whenever anyone refers to it, it's always like, fucking Terra. It's just like they just like, is this some horrible person or whatever? And this shit is just sad. And like, so like how the world is nowadays and how online is, and never go in the comments. That's what they tell you. And like, here's this like girl who was always beautiful, like before she ever became a god.
Yeah.
And it's basically being objectified her whole life. And then she becomes this, and now she's even more objectified. And basically people want her to do what they want her to do. And if she does anything else, it's fucking terror. It's like they just like rip her apart. And like that shit is just way too real to me, I guess, in the way they're like doing it. I mean,
we've got one line, like basically she says, and I'm paraphrasing, but she basically says, "Oh, life would be so easy if I just did what they wanted me to do. But I don't want easy." And like that's kind of the like, to me, that's like the that sums up her whole like life story in a sentence or two.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it was very nice to like. I love the art in issue 13, which is I think it's the Tara issue. Yeah, Tula Lote.
Yeah, issue 13. That's the Tula Lote. Yeah. So that's one of the art issues that I really enjoy. Like, we'll talk about that here real quick before we go any further, since you brought it up. Like, is this other than one issue? McKelvin does not do the art for this volume. Like, they have guest artists on all of these.
Yeah.
For me, some of them work, some of them do not. The one probably guest artist that works the best, I think, is the Terra chapter, is issue 13. Like, the Tula Lote, I think, works of the non-McKelvin issues. To me, that one works the best. Like, just for me. Like, I was not a big fan of the art in 12. 12? Yeah. Was not a big fan of the art in 12. And there's a couple others that I'm not as big a fan of. But, like, this one really works for me. But I do love the whole thing. That, like, the joke on the internet is you never go into the comments because they're just atrocious. But that's really what gets set up here. Is she's struggling, and what's her face comes to visit her, and she basically sends her into the comments, like below her thing. And it's like, there's no stepping back from this. And what does she do? She goes into the comments, and we get these 2 pages of just horrendous things.
Yeah.
That people are tweeting about this girl.
Yeah,
And
it was awful.
Yeah, just horrible things I don't even want to read.
Yeah.
yeah. And then she's like, at the end, she's like, why would I do that? Why did she go in there? And basically, she gives her permission to, like, kill her. She just, like, basically commits suicide, like, because she read the comments and because she couldn't please these people. And it's just so horrible and real. And, like, and then she doesn't even get that moment at the end. She doesn't even, like, she chooses to die and to leave a message behind. And she doesn't even get that because she's trying to set up Baphomet as the killer. And so she destroys the note that she leaves. And it's just like her whole life was terrible. And then the end, it's like people reacting to her death. And they're still saying horrible things about this girl.
Yep.
And it's just
it was definitely a you can tell it was the sign of the times, right? They definitely got the social media bullying aspect of it of our time. You know what I mean? When we were younger, you got bullied in real life and you got pushed around and stuff, and maybe you got hit or something like that, but then it was over. Where this is just constant berating. Every single day, if you look online, it's there all the time. Regardless if you delete it or whatever, it's always there, and they're always constantly there because it's easier to bully somebody behind a keyboard, right? They never have to see you. You can constantly just do it, and it just goes to show you that even somebody who, had the confidence, because she was a confident person, it could just bring you down, and it just wore her down. And it was definitely too real. And that was a tough one. It was like, wow, like that's real. So, but it was a good, definitely the art and everything, definitely blended well with that story, with that little arc that they did for her.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on this first? I kind of skipped the first issue because I did feel like there was there's stuff there, but it was, I don't know. The first issue didn't do much for me. And anything else in those first couple of issues you guys want to talk about?
No, what stood out to me is the whole Morrigan, Marden, and Baphomet.
I'm trying to go back and see, because I think I read it like last week or something like that. So, yep.
Sorry, like you guys were over each other, so I'm not sure exactly. What were you saying, Unruly?
No.
The whole Morrigan, Baphomet story and how he came to be, that was very interesting to me. And
so she basically so she gets chosen, and she's like in love with him, and she's gonna leave him behind, but like he sort of like doesn't ask for it, but sort of tricks her into like bringing him along. And then he basically he's just kind of a dick because he just like, there's a reason she set him up to be the bad guy to frame for all these killings because he just hangs her out to dry. And like, even like, so she goes back for him. And then you even get when she gets captured, he makes the, what is it? When she gets captured, you see him, he was watching, and he's like, and his little line he uses all the time is, you or me, no choice at all. Like, it's like, oh, screw you as long as I'm getting what I need. And it's just like, yeah, he's a dick.
Well, he was a dick in real life. She's like, you slept with her. How could you do that? They spend the whole issue like establishing they have this like relationship and they're doing all this stuff together and they're spending all this time. And then the next page, it's like, and who she was, it doesn't really matter. They don't really go into it.
No.
Yeah. And his excuse is just like, oh, I fell into the pit, like, which was their joke about the world, how the world sucks and everything. And it's just like, it's just such a lame, like, yeah. And then you see him at the end of her little chapter. He's like, I could explain everything. And it's like, and she's still listening to him. It's like, I've known people that were in relationships like that. And it's like, get away from him. He's an idiot. But yeah, he's still trying to like get her to like help him, even though
Yeah,
she's
I love the way he communicated with her through the ketchup on the hamburger.
Yeah, then he put in
put in a pentagram, and he wrote, and he guess he projected himself into the ketchup.
Yeah.
And then they leave you hanging because his explanation isn't going to come till the next volume.
Yeah. We don't even get his explanation that he claims.
Yeah.
So the other one we get is like that we kind of skipped over was the Wooten or whatever then his story, and basically the fact that we discover that he's in on everything that the old lady is doing, and he's kind of helping her manipulate everything, and then and at one point he tries to like stand up for himself, and basically she puts him in his place, but we get the reveal at the end that he's got somebody. I don't know who that is, but he's protecting somebody. Like that he's hidden somebody or something, because he says, "I won't let her get you after everything." Of course you won't. So
yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead because at the very end of the book, I feel like we're missing something here, but at the very end we get the little reveal of that Persephone, who we think is dead, is setting up a concert.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the case, but I'm wondering if that's her. That he somehow saved her at the last second or something, and he's hiding her from the old lady at this point. But we don't know why he would do that. But the fact that because that person clearly has some kind of authority over him, because she's or the person in the mask, I'm assuming it's a she. She's after everything, of course you won't let that. Basically, yeah, he owes this person something. So I don't know. I could be completely off on that, but that's my estimation when we saw the reveal at the end, or the little maybe Persephone's alive thing at the end, which I don't know if that's the case or not. What do you guys think of that? What do you think about his mystery person that he's helping to try to protect from the old lady?
Good, really.
It's Woden. He turns out to be. All right, I just got to shut the hell up. I'm sorry.
Well, one observation I'll make on the panel is, if you look at their heads, they make a point to say the Valkyries are a certain height, and the Valkyries always appear taller than Wooten, and that this person is the same height as Wooten,
right?
Assuming they're both standing on a level floor.
Right.
So it's clearly probably the polar opposite of what the Valkyries are.
Yeah, it's not because he likes tall Asian chicks. All the Valkyries are tall Asian chicks.
Yeah.
And there's actually the scene. Go ahead, Unruly.
No, I was just joking. I was saying what a pervert. Only tall Asian chicks.
Well, I think he is. Yeah. I think pretty much
they go into that. They explore his perversity.
But you get the scene of they're pretty much the same height. Whereas the Valkyrie in the back is taller, that he and Laura are pretty much the same height. I'm just saying. I don't know. No, I don't know how he would have saved her, but yeah. And maybe I'm wishful thinking at this point. But
well, sure.
Right. Have y'all watched the BBC Sherlock series with the cat that plays Doctor Strange?
I love that show.
I don't watch that. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman plays Watson.
Forget that name. But at any rate, if you've seen that series, and I'm just giving you a hint, then how the whole Persephone thing has a big similarity to the second or third season of that series.
Gosh, it's been so long I don't remember what happens.
Yeah, I haven't seen that series, but after like that ending part where it's like, oh, you know, you had the little note and it's like, oh, there's a concert, and you're like, what the hell? Um, you know, my curiosity got the best of me, and I read a couple.
Oh,
a
you've already
couple,
read ahead, Peter.
I read a couple issues in because I was like, I need to read this. I just kept going, and I mean, I don't want to spoil
No
anything and stuff like
spoilers.
that,
No
but
spoilers tonight.
no spoilers. But yeah, it's yeah, just like on Ruli, I'm gonna stay quiet. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I definitely like it.
Yeah, mine just. I probably would have read ahead too, but I might have it come in. So, we're at 51 minutes. Anything else you guys want to talk about volume 3 before we move along?
My favorite story was the last one with Sockmet, or however you know, the crazy cat lady.
The crazy cat lady.
I like the art. I like her. She's just like unbridled chaos.
Yeah.
And she even says, Todd, what you were saying earlier, she's all about the moment. Fuck my past, fuck my future. Yep. I have the present, and the present is pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, and I love how basically to control her, they just try to keep her drunk.
Well, they're trying to keep her sedated.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to keep her sedated because, and we see why, like.
She is a complete badass.
Well, she's a cat. She's a predator. She's
yeah.
And it's funny, you notice that almost all the gods are actually,
you know,
they talk about her, but they're kind of terrified of her because she is badass. It's like,
and rightfully terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely afraid of her. I mean, you get the whole thing. What is it? Bale? Is that his name? Like you see him Ball, like him training, and we've already seen that he's sort of I mean, like he's the what is he, air god or something? Like he's some kind of like sky god thing, and like that he's super powerful.
He is,
and like he's training or whatever, and he's like, you need to practice or whatever, and she just like out of nowhere takes him out, and it's like, no, you need practice. I'm fine. And it's just like that he's got no like. And then you see Minerva's like, she scares me. And Woon's like, you are truly a goddess of wisdom.
I like this issue a lot. I go a little back and forth in the art. Where
I don't like the art, I'll be honest.
See, here's my thing. I appreciate it's solid storytelling. Like if you don't look at the superficial quality, like the surface, the storytelling is pretty solid. There's good like the poses are expressive, you know, and there's a lot of emotion conveyed. But then like there's sometimes where like there's certain scenes like where this scene right here, it feels very like lazily drawn to me. I don't know. Yeah. Just it doesn't. It looks like. I just feel like there's a.
Go ahead.
It reminds me of Corbin in that this guy can convey dimensionality with very simple lines. But you know, Corbin, I love Corbin, but he was hit or miss. You'd have a beautiful panel on one, and then the next panel would look like crap.
Well, yeah, even because you can look at some of Corbin's stuff and like this got a little away from him, or this face is a little wonk. It just doesn't look. But some stuff looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
it just seemed like there was a few like missed opportunities, right? I mean, there's times where it's like, you know, this panel could have really popped. And he just dropped the ball. It's
like I think this is a great panel where she's jumping from building to building, and you have the one guy pointing up, and it like you know you there's some clear lines, and that's very well designed. You know, even the couple of panels up top, very simple, but really does a great job of expressing the story and saying what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not a huge fan of that style. But like it can be really good. Like it's a very simplistic style, but it can work. But like I feel like what you're saying is like in panels he just gets lazy. Like there's a difference between simple and lazy, and at times I feel like it drifts into lazy. Like it. I get the overall goal of like the simpler style, but it's just like panels that I feel like just don't work. Like I showed it already, like this panel of Bale, like where he's like training and he's like I just feel like that panel gets lazy in places that like his shape and I don't know, like Wooten's design the whole time, like when he's walking over, like in that panel where she's sitting on the ground.
Yeah,
like,
he just looks about as simple like a generic a human form as you can draw.
Yeah, but then you get like this big. The next page is this big splash page at her concert, and it's just really like it's really well done. And I don't know. Overall, it just didn't work for me because I felt like it was too inconsistent. Like there's great panels, and then there's just awful panels. I feel like in this particular issue.
Yeah, and the other thing, I'll be honest, the art felt a little disjointed from the rest of the art in the series.
Well, this whole book, because they jump around all these artists, because they have all these guest artists in this one, and I found it very jarring. Like some of them, like we talked about, like issue 13, which was the Tulalote. Like I felt like it fit well with McElveen. It was a nice it was different, but it was a compliment to McElveen's style. I felt like the Kate Brown issue, which was issue 12, the first issue, I felt like this issue 17, which was Brandon Graham, I felt like those were like too far from the style. They were too jarring compared to the rest of the book. Like I felt like Stephanie Hans was sort of a poor fit. Like even though I love her art and I do like I like the art even in the issue, I don't feel like it's a great fit for with the rest of the series. I feel like it sticks out.
Yeah, because we're used to such a very clean, delineated style with clean lines and very, very specific.
I mean, there's some gorgeous panels because of Stephanie Hans, but I just feel like it's such a jar. You turn the page and it's like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
Did I just go into a different book?
Yeah.
I mean, a different series?
The art style was so drastic. It's just like, oh shit. But I think it was one of the things. I think it was meant to do that.
I do too. I think there was a purpose behind it, but
I almost feel like the art was almost a distraction, right? So you're trying to read the story, you're trying to piece together certain things. They're telling you backstories, and it was one of those things where it's like, her the art for her for the cat lady, I always forget, but yeah. So for her story, they always talk about, okay, the only way we can keep her in line is to keep her drunk, right? So the art style kind of mimicked that, right? It was very all over the place. It was very weird. The shapes were a little off, and I think it was meant to give you her perception, right? Like she sees the world like that all the time because she's always hammered, right? Everything always looks discombobulated. Some things look sloppy at times, and I think that was the reason for it, right? They made her all like sloppy because that's the way she is. And then you look at the other one with like the Stephanie Hans, it was so clean, everything was so crisp, and like the character is supposed to be like that. So I think they were trying to do something like that. I could be completely off base, but
you say that though because then you get to like the Wooten chapter and it's all very like technical, like vibe of like everything's a little off, like you're seeing it through a screen instead of like in real life, which he's seeing everything through that helmet. Yeah. So I hadn't really thought about that, but I can see where you're coming from. I still think some of it works and some of it doesn't.
It's definitely still hit or miss. But I think that's what they were trying to portray, is to try to get you to kind of see through the God's eyes, kind of deal, like how they see certain things. Like like you said, with Wooden, it looked like everything was through a visor. that you were
Yeah.
looking at.
It's an interesting idea because like I said, I don't hate that art in that last issue, and I found myself liking it more as I read through the story. I guess I'm used to like certain characters have a certain you get used to a certain like idea of them, and then you see something that really challenges that, and you're like. But I mean, ultimately, like I first said, I could see the storytelling in that art, and I could see it with solid storytelling and like very good poses and acting within the characters. I mean, so ultimately, to me, it works, storytelling wise. And I don't know, that might just be my own like bias that I'm bringing to the reading, as being used to a certain style of art that I expect in a comic book. A lot of times that's why I like independence. They challenge your sensibility, what you're used to.
Oh yeah.
Because if you've only read superhero comics and you pick up any number of independents, it's very different.
It's very jarring if it's not something that you're used to. It could be very jarring, and a lot of it. There's some supernatural stuff and whatever, but a lot of the storytelling in these are kind of grounded, and you can kind of be like, all right, I can kind of see that, and but the storytelling is very well put together in a lot of these indie books.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, one of the main appeals of indies is if it's a 6-issue series or a 30, or like Invincible that ran to 100 and something, or The Walking Dead. You have the same damn artist for the whole run because they're invested in it. They own it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make money off it. And whether it's like in East or West, that art had to grow on me. But damn, I like it now.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's consistent. That's my main, and think of the mainstream books that have been big lately for Marvel, Immortal Hulk and Venom. You had consistent art. We want that, I think, as comic readers. And the big two companies just ain't giving it to us for whatever reason.
I got a theory, but that might be a whole other show.
That is a whole other show, but that is one of my big complaints about current reading comics is the fact that from issue to issue, your artists change so much that you don't even get like 5-issue runs, like one trade worth of the same artist on anything anymore, and it's just that annoys the crap out of me. And maybe that's part of why this was like so jarring, because all these indies I've been reading, I've been getting consistent art, and then I got to this and I was like, what the bleep? Where's my artist? And even though like I said, I enjoy some of the art in here that some of these substitute artists do. The ones I enjoyed the best were the ones that had a style that was like different, but similar perspective to what McElvin brings all the time, whereas the ones that were jarring changes like really like bothered me and took me out of the story a little bit. So, hey, Kid Collector, what's going on?
Collector,
what's up, Kid Collector? I don't know that I met you, Kid Collector. Nice to see you in the chat. I'm Gorilla Talk.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. We're at an hour and 5 minutes. Final thoughts on volumes 2 and 3 of Wicked and Divine. We will start with Todd below me here. What do you got, man?
Okay. So the reason we don't see the run, no, I'm kidding. It's gonna go off of my soapbox, but I won't do that. But I'd love to talk about that one day. If anyone want to jump do something together, you let me know. I will rant. No, again, like I enjoyed it. It was a good read. I'm probably gonna pick up volumes 4, 5, and 6. They're somewhere in my room. Pick them up and start reading. At least I'm dying to know what happens now. So I definitely was left. What else can you ask for? You read something, you want to keep reading it, or you put it down and you're like, okay, I've had enough. And if you want to keep reading, it's a good. I consider it a win. But I love the when it's the regular art team, I like the consistency, but I did like seeing the different like artists just seeing the different styles, because honestly, I don't know. Like, I've seen a lot of Tula Lote art. I really like her art. I met her at Heroes Con last summer. But everything I've seen from her is, for the most part, covers. So it was nice to see her interior work.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second because you were talking about her. I will say, like, you were talking about her covers, and I forgot to mention it. Like, they put a few of the variants in the back, and her variant for number 13 is of Tara. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, look, listen, if you follow her on like Instagram, dude, some of the stuff she posts is amazing. I got this. Remember that old movie Mulholland? What is it? Mulholland Falls, something like that.
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive, right? She did a poster of the one girl, like it's raining, and the girl's like, it's just an amazing. It's from Mondo. I bought it, and that's what I brought up to the con and got her to sign. And it's just an amazing poster, an amazing image. She has some serious skills.
So sorry I interrupted you though. So get back to your
but yeah, you know, I'm all invested in the story. I want to know what's going on. I want to see how it unfolds. So, you know, I'm all ready for volumes 3, 4, 5, and whatever's. Is this series still coming out?
No, it's done.
It's done.
Okay, because you know, I get confused. I see new issues. I see issues on the rack, like, because a couple of the stores around here have like those long walls of like the last, I don't know, 2 to 8, 12 months worth of books, and I see them there, and I'm like, are they just that old that they've been sitting on the rack that long, or is, you know, I'm just trying to.
I think it's 9 volumes. Is that right, Unruly?
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, 9.
And the 9th one just came out like a couple within the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So it
it's over, but it hasn't been over for very long. So.
But that's cool. That's, you know, you have an ending in sight. That's awesome.
Well, look, let me tell you all this. That's the way I read comics now. Is I wait till something's wrapped up. Well, except for a handful of things like Saga.
Yeah.
I mean, I wait for it to be wrapped up, or I read the trades. I spec on a lot of indie first issues because I'm into indies. But, you know, and I'll flip through whatever one is the worst because I get multiple copies. I'll flip through whatever one's in the worst condition and listen to what everyone else in the community says, and then I'll buy the trades. That's how I
Wait, you have trades? Like, looking behind you, I couldn't tell that you like trades.
That's an. You got an awesome spinner rack and everything.
Yeah, he's got a great background. I love his background.
I love it too.
No, definitely. I would. You should. I have a chintzy one in my classroom that's behind my desk. But the bottom half is like pegs. I put like tape and round stuff on it that I can poke through that has the holes. I'll find it today. That's cool.
So, Loesch, what about you? Your final thoughts on volumes 2 and 3?
I mean, I definitely like the series. I dig it. I mean, it's a great read. It's fun, and it's it doesn't take you long to get into it. You know, it's at moments it kind of slowed down, like you said, in the beginning of volume 2. It was a little slow, but once it picked up the pace, you could tell it went right into it. But I do like the pacing of it. It doesn't linger too much on certain things. I did like the flashbacks here and there because again, it gives you those different vantage points of what people were seeing at the same time, but different vantage points of it. So I do like that. I do like the whole investigative journalism, trying to figure out what the hell really happened. What's really going on. We're getting more into what Aniki's end game thing is and stuff like that, and trying to a little more insight into like what the hell is this, what you really trying to do and stuff. So I like that. It's pretty cool. And just meeting the new gods and seeing the other gods interact with them, like how they said, you got the other guy and like, oh Jesus, this god's like great, we have to run into her again. So I do like those interactions. But yeah, it's great storytelling. Like I said, I already jumped into volume 4 just because it's that good of a read. It definitely attracted me, brought me in. It's like, hey, I want to read the next one. I want to read the next one. So it's the signs of a good storytelling. And I mean, like I said, I dig it. It was definitely a good read.
Nice. I'm gonna go before Unruly just because. Yeah, I concur with you guys completely. Like, I've really enjoyed this so far. This was not one I'd really heard many people talk about, which surprises me given what I've read in these first 3 volumes. I'm really like, I will say, when I got to the end of volume 2 and that little twist that I sort of like, I had suspected that she was the bad guy, sort of, but like I wasn't expecting that moment. I was sort of pissed, and like I tore into volume 3 and at first I was really mad at volume 3 because it was suddenly backstory, but like I really enjoyed the backstories. I think it really filled out some of these gods that you were like introduced to, give you a better perspective. I think these guys, like I said, I haven't read anything Kieran Gillen has written that I haven't enjoyed at this point. This is no different. I can't wait till volumes 4 and 5 arrive so we can keep moving. So, Unruly, your thoughts on volumes 2 and 3? I'll let you wrap this up a little bit.
Of course I enjoyed it. And, I hadn't heard anything about this series either. It was 4 years ago. I was doing a job in Clemson, and the nearest big supply house, Ferguson's, was like 50 minutes away in Greenville. And so I'm driving to pick up some stuff, and I drove right past a Second and Charles, and I was like, And I walked in, and they had like the first 3 trades, for like $3 each. That's how I found it.
Nice.
But
good stuff.
I'm just going to tell you all this. I'm glad you're digging it. The art stays consistent pretty much from here forward with McKelvin, or however you say his name. And the ending is fairly satisfying. It's not one of these. You'll be satisfied at the end.
Nice.
When you finish reading it.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank the few people that popped in and out. Kid Collector said he had to go. C. Wood was in here earlier. There's a few people watching that haven't said something, I think, just based on my numbers I'm seeing. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. I know there was a ton of stuff on YouTube tonight. You guys got anything coming up that you want to talk about? I'm sure Todd has an auction that he's got going on at some point on probably Metaphorical's channel.
Always got something going on, yeah.
I saw somebody posted a video of their top 10 modern books and it was strictly from a monetary point of view. Yeah. So that got me digging. I think that's what I'm going to wind up doing this weekend.
Nice. An Unruly video. Those are few and far between, and they're always good. So there you go.
Can't wait for that.
If you have never watched, if you're digging Unruly's background, you should go back and find his room tour because that is amazing. Yeah. That whole room is
just the corner I can glimpse at.
Oh,
yeah. If you haven't watched it, Todd, go back and watch it.
Yeah, you got to go back.
It's great.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, just mute the sound because I'm a babbling idiot.
No, I did a. It's cool. Don't even sweat it.
Aren't we all babbling idiots?
I was going to say, join the club.
We have found the outlet, the creative outlet for babbling idiocy. And we have fully engaged in it.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, when I go on and I start babbling, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, people really want to listen to me? Kids listen to me all day because they have to. They have no choice. They pretty much find me entertaining because they have to. They don't have a choice. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just it becomes a miserable experience. But people have choice. There's a lot of other things that they could use to stimulate them. But I think, we all do, we love talking about this stuff, and we love the comic books and the storytelling, and it's a connection that we just don't find enough of. So we have this outlet because it lets us cross the vast distances we all live in different parts of the country and different cities, and it just gives us that connection.
Yeah, definitely.
Amen, brother.
Definitely.
I stay with my aunt right now. I'm in this one. I have one bedroom. And I have comics to the right of me. I have comics to the left of me. I'm not even freaking kidding. Like, but comic books all over, like in that corner, everywhere. And then I've got it going crazy in the garage. And then I've got a storage unit with another couple hundred boxes.
Holy moly!
So,
100 boxes? Oh my god!
Like a couple hundred.
Oh, wow!
It's like when I, dude, it's ridiculous.
No.
I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to.
I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple people that have seen some of the stuff. I don't have I have obviously a lot of books. I have some good ones. I'm honestly very motivated. I don't care. I can buy expensive books, and I can dig through dollar boxes, and I'm happy either way because I'll get excited by some random comic book. I go nuts for old Comico Justice Machine books because I liked that title when I was a kid. I used to read that. So when I find some of the later issues that I never saw, that gets me so excited because I'm one day I'm gonna have this complete run.
Nice.
And that's just making the 8-year-old, 9-year-old me that loved that book when I read a couple issues and the Elementals, it just makes that little kid in me happy.
Yeah. And that's really what all of this is about, is just reading good stories and just, a little escapism and everything else. So, Los, before we hit, you got anything coming up?
I think Unruly, I'm trying to put out a video. I have an idea in mind. I think it's basically going to be, if anybody ever listened to Biggie Smalls, he had the 10 Crack Commandments. So I am going to release my 10 comic collecting commandments.
Nice.
It's what I follow when I collect.
Nice.
And I try not to break these commandments so I can stay on track and I don't go off the rails. So it's strictly for me, but if somebody wants to take any of these and kind of go with it, but I'm gonna try to release that soon. And then next week, Wednesday, on the 14th, is actually my 2-year anniversary of my first video that I released on YouTube, and hopefully I can go live and just invite some people over and have an open forum and just have people come on and just shoot the shit and have some drinks and maybe give some stuff away. Who knows? So hopefully it'll be a good time.
Nice.
Cool.
So what I have coming up, obviously I do my weekend look back and all that kind of stuff, but in terms of reading, the next episode of Gotham City Chronicles will be a week from tonight, and we are doing The Vengeance of Bane with myself, Kavi, of course, and then Bear Island and D-Run Comics. So we're going to do that.
That's a good read.
And then the next indie show, which is not finalized exactly when it's going to be, is we are going to be doing V for Vendetta, Big Will, Seawood, and Jimmy the Geek Aficionado. We're going to be talking V for Vendetta on the next one, but we haven't got a date locked in yet. Seawood was waiting for his work schedule so we could get something finalized on that. So that's what's coming up in terms of reading new stories, and then hopefully my in-stock trades order will come soon, and when we can start maybe scheduling another one of these. So I want to thank everybody. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. I want to thank anybody that hung out or anybody that watches us on the rewind, and we will catch you guys later.